Hi, I'm Steve Mersil in Portland, Oregon, on my way to Cape Disappointment. I'm gonna ride this bike 3,700 miles across the country to Portland, Maine, in order to raise money for a fellowship that will allow young people to learn about angel investing and entrepreneurship. In other words, help them create an entrepreneurial mind. It's sort of like the non-Hollywood version of Shark Tank. So check out my website, bizInMotion.org, to learn about our fellowship program and to follow the ride. We're going to be interviewing entrepreneurs and other characters along the way. So hopefully you'll find some really fun stories about the Odyssey and you'll enjoy following the ride. And also please consider donating. Check that subscription button and follow the ride. Please support this cause. Thanks.
Hello, I'm with Brian LaVoy in Menominee, Wisconsin, and Brian is one of the organizers and I think one of the founders of a bicycle event here called the Sadistic 100. Brian, it's good to see you again.
It's great to be here.
So, Brian, tell me a little bit about how the Sadistic 100 got started.
Well, back in the late 70s, there was a group of people in the community that really liked to do endurance sports, and they were one of the first groups that developed a triathlon, and they started the 10-man, which was 10 is not quite as strong as iron, so it's about a half an Ironman.
Mm-hmm.
And that all morphed into like a community that supported a lot of endurance events. And about 10 years ago, we hosted a professional bike event called the Nature Valley Grand Prix. And from that, we ended up adding an amateur ride that corresponded with the Nature Valley Grand Prix, and now has become what we call the Sadistic Century ride.
So I just completed the Sadistic Century ride. It's you can go different distances, but I went to 100 miles, and I want to know who is the sick person that came up with that route, because it is a really tough route.
So the guy who came up with it was Steve Brown, and it started as Steve's Sadistic 77, and then Steve wanted to become very sadistic, so he expanded it to the 100, and now it's Steve's Sadistic Century. It has 30 climbs on it. It's got 8,800 feet of climbing, and many of the climbs are somewhere between 270 to 300, and so they're relatively short hills, but they're rather steep.
Yeah, they're very steep. Some of them are very. They're not all. Some of them are not all that short either, though. But some of them are.
Maybe the longest ones are maybe 3/4 of a mile long,
yeah.
half a mile long. A lot of them are in the 14 to 17% range.
Yeah. Feels like you're going straight up some of those.
We had somebody complaining that he felt like he was not intentionally, but like he was popping a wheelie as he was going up and ready to fall over backwards.
There are a few that you got to kind of lean forward, or you will. Your tire will come off. I experienced a little of that too. How many people are involved in supporting the ride?
So we have 3 groups of people. We have a registration and marketing team. That's a husband and wife team, and then we have a guy who takes care of the food stops and providing the support for the riders. And then we take care of people once they return back to the facility, the start-finish area, and take care of our participants.
Yeah, and in fact, I think it's the only event that I have been to where they actually feed the participants at the end.
Well, we've had really good feedback that the participants love having a very nice shower and a very nice meal, and the meal is got a lot of options. It's a taco bar that
with like
is
beer
a vegetarian,
and Coke
and then there's some beverages as well.
You can even get a beer. So in fact, the end of the race, well, the beginning and the end is at the county fairgrounds, I guess, and in the arena. And so when you come back, you're allowed to take showers, and most of the riders do that, of course, because they're going back home, and you have a nice meal. So it's really special that way, I think.
So many of our riders, we're about an hour from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, and many of our riders come from there. About half of our riders are from that area, and then probably a 50-mile radius for Wisconsin residents that we attract. But this year we had riders from 6 different states.
Great.
So we had Illinois, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then one person from Wyoming.
And then about how many riders registered this time?
We had 260 riders.
Great. So, how long has the Sadistic 500 or 100 been going on now?
This is the 7th year that we hosted. We missed last year because of the COVID complications. So 8 years ago was our first year.
Great. So, and it's always about the 3rd week of August?
Yes. There's a couple of events that left calendar dates open, and one event is held the middle of September in Madison, Wisconsin, and they run a full Ironman down there, and several of the riders will use this as their last training ride.
Sure, yeah.
And we even had one rider from Lake Geneva who used this as his last training ride.
Yeah, we might know who that is. Well, it was a wonderful day. It was not too hot. It was in the 70s, a little windy. Great support throughout the ride. Certainly a challenging ride. I have never been able to complete the ride until this year, and I spent basically about 16 months getting ready for it. But it's a great ride. So if you're a bicyclist and you want to experience a really good ride, a challenging ride, there's different lengths. You don't have to do the whole thing, but it's a really good ride. And I would encourage you to sign up to the Sadistic 100 next year, 2022. It'll be about 3rd week in August again, and you'll really appreciate the hospitality and the bicycling and the challenge. So thank you, Brian.
The website that has the history and course elevations and all that is SadisticCentury.com.
All right, great. So go visit SadisticCentury.com, learn about it, sign up. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. And be sure you go and check that like sign. You know how this works in this business. The more likes you have, the better off you are, and the more people will notice it. And we're doing this for a cause, to raise money for this fellowship program that I told you about. Stay tuned in to our social media channel, YouTube, Facebook, and don't forget to donate. It goes to a good cause. Only 3,700 miles to Portland, Maine. Woohoo!